Welcome to Light Over Heat with Professor David Yamani, aka the Bob Ross of guns. Today I want to take a look back at some of the highlights of 2024, so stay tuned. Okay, first things first. I am grateful that I am completely unable to grow any kind of substantial facial hair because this is really intolerable. Okay, that said, on the Bob Ross of guns idea, hat tip to Ranjit Singh, who characterized me this way in his review of my book Gun Curious. So I'll put a link to that review in the show notes for your interest. Second, do want to mention before I hit the highlights of 2023, I have talked a good bit about struggles I've had over the past couple of years, really trying to get my book Gun Curious into print and trying to get some attention to its ideas. I don't want to go into that here. I've done that in my newsletter, so if you want some of the inside story of what's going on with my work, subscribe to my newsletter. I'll put a link, again, in the show notes. Comes out about once a month. You can unsubscribe at any time. I don't sell your information, etc. Also, I just did a 3-part podcast with Randy Mian on the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast. I'll put a link to those also in the show notes. I really get into some of the struggles in that. But today, I really want to talk about some of the highlights of the year, and there have been quite a few. In the first place, this book exists. And on the one hand, as someone who's written a lot of books before, that's not necessarily a great accomplishment in itself, but getting this book into existence was a struggle, and therefore the fact that it exists. And the other thing I should note, and I got this idea from reading the music producer Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. He talks about the act of creativity as not being done for attention or for the market or to create a commodity, but really as an expression of the artist's creative spirit. And I have to say that in the end, this book truly represents my perspective on my journey into America's gun culture and my view of what gun culture is all about and why guns make sense to those who own them. There's nothing in this book that I don't stand by, right? And so it is truly a remarkable feat to be able to say that about this book, and I'm thankful for that. I've also had a chance to talk about the book in a lot of different places, both in person and virtually in podcasts. And I want to just mention a moment in October where on Tuesday morning, I was in Wilmington, Delaware, speaking to a firearms law seminar co-sponsored by the Federalist Society. And then on Thursday of that same week, I was in Charlottesville, Virginia, speaking to a public policy class on the wicked problem of gun violence. And that week really made me feel like the work that I've put in, both to try to understand American gun culture, but also to try to create a bridge between gun culture and issues of public safety, is really paying off. And I'll have more to say about that for 2025 and onward. But that was really a special week for me, and it was followed up the following week by giving the keynote address to the Liberal Gun Club at their national meeting in Las Vegas. And that was a really special time to really speak to my closest tribe, liberals who own guns, but also to experiment with some ideas that I have about how to turn that gun rights and public safety finger lock into a bridge to move our conversations about this controversial issue forward. Again, more on that when I look forward to 2025 and beyond. And last but not least, yesterday I held the celebration of learning for the end of the semester of my Sociology of Guns class. This is the 10th class I've taught in 10 consecutive years. And I have to say that it was probably the best class yet. In part because I only had 8 students and all 8 of the students were engaged and contributed, but also I think because I've reached a sort of level of maturity in my thinking and I'm able to meet the students both where they're at and also challenge them to move beyond where they're at in ways that I wasn't able to when I was teaching in earlier semesters. Now, having taught it for 10 years, I'm thinking that probably I take next year off and then reboot the class for not so much an 11th year, but a first year of the second wave of my engagement on the issue of guns. And so at the end of December, I will both put out a newsletter. So again, please subscribe to my newsletter if you're interested in learning more about what I'm up to, but also record a video for this channel talking about how I see where I'm going with my work. It's always my pleasure to engage with you through this channel. I appreciate your attention to and support of my work. I really look forward to your questions and comments about what I've been up to and what should I be thinking about going forward into 2025. It's been a long run to get to here. I'm sort of closing the book on this aspect of my work, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds. I hope that you'll come along for that ride with me. This is really getting to be sort of intolerable. Thankfully, no facial hair for me beyond my Bob Ross outfit. Okay. This is really intolerable. I don't know how people have facial hair unless having actual facial hair is less uncomfortable than wearing this costume. All right, so this is just intolerable. Why do people have facial hair? Maybe if you have real facial hair, it's not as uncomfortable as just wearing a Halloween costume. In any event, and this is really intolerable, as I have said before. Thankfully, no facial hair for me. Bob Ross of Guns, 2024 edition, over and out.